Right, good evening everyone. Welcome to today's PSGL F6 stream as we are in Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache, formerly also known as the Autodromo Interlagos. And I hope you're prepared for about 1.5 hours of me completely butchering these Portuguese corner names. I apologize in advance. I did my best to learn them. But in the end, I still struggled. I'll do my best, but yeah. Um, Before we go into qualifying, I have to mention PSGL is sponsored by our title sponsor GT Omega, where you can get a 5% discount with the code PSGL at checkout. We are also sponsored by Grid Rival, which is an F1 fantasy league, where we also run our own league, which you can check out. I believe there's a link in the description. If not, you can just should be in the App Store. Should be an app called Grid Rival. You can look for that. And now we can jump straight into qualifying. There have been no changes from last weekend's race results. They all stayed the same. Not a single report was made in the stewards, which is good to see. The drivers all kept it clean. Standings now, OP Kian is leading on 71 points, ahead of Ariel Giron, his teammate, on 60 points, so an 11-point gap between those two. Of course, different point system here in PSGL than what you're used to. There's 16 points for a win and 12 points for P2, 10 points for P3, 8 points for P4, 6 points for P5, and then all the way down to 1 point for P10. So there is less points on offer for the top 10 finishers, which obviously means that these 11 points are that Giron is behind are worth more than 11 points in real F1 would be. Just a bit worried as I haven't been able to find the stream on YouTube yet. Hopefully it is up. And I've just been talking to myself. That would be slightly annoying. But we'll just move on. I hope I can find it in a bit. I'm just gonna keep refreshing while I'm waiting for people to drive out. We've also the constructors, 131 points for Ferrari, 55 points ahead of Haas, who are in second place on 76 points. So a big gap on the constructors. Obviously, with those two Ferrari drivers leading the driver standings, they will also be leading the constructors. It is what you would expect. I still cannot find the stream for some reason, which is worrying. I'll focus on the qualifying in just a second. Just once I get make sure that the stream's actually up. Okay, yes, I found it. Good. For some reason, it didn't show up on in my sub box. Okay, I'm being told it's gonna be a wet race actually here in Brazil, which I mean it is to be expected. Brazil is usually has a high chance for rain. TF Lynx is already on a hot lap. He's already gone through the first 3 corners through the center S and the Cover do Sol. He's now heading down into the Descida del Lago, which I'm definitely pronouncing wrong, so as I said, I struggle a lot with these Portuguese pronunciations, but I'm trying my best. He's now heading down to turn 6, as we're on board with the McLaren driver. I believe he's the first one to a certain lap time. I didn't see anyone ahead of him who is not currently marked as being on an out lap. So yeah, Lynx will be starting us off in this qualifying session. Also worth mentioning, just a few track stats. This track is 4.9 kilometers long about, so it's a very short track, only 15 corners. This layout has been in use since 1999. Before that there was a couple of different layouts. But I don't think that there's been any completely major changes. There was a majorly extended layout back in the day, but it was a long time ago. This track first opened in May of 1940 as Lynx jumps into P1 with a 107.9, indeed the first one to put a lap time in. Next one will be one of the Mercedes drivers, that would be Mike, and then Daniel right behind him. This track had its first F1 race in 1972, so it's been around for a long time now. Daniel now 107.6, 3/10 up on McLaren driver. Overtake should mostly be down to turn 1, the center S, and turn 4 into the Descida del Lago. The time to road record on this track is a 106.822, so I'm expecting lap times somewhere in the mid 107s, which is exactly where we are right now, 107.6. So maybe even a bit faster than that. Maybe we can get down to a low 107, since we're already at a 107.6 this early into the session. Kian, of course, currently on a lap, I believe. No, he's not. This is definitely not a fast lap for him. What about Giron? Giron on an invalid lap. So the two championship leaders, early on in qualifying, not quite making the mark just yet. Carlsbury, though, third in championship, but quite some way behind, is currently on the hot lap. The strategy I'm expecting is about 16 laps on mediums, 20 laps on hards. It's a 36 lap race. But of course, since it's going to be a wet race, at least that's what I've been told by the drivers, that completely goes out the window, and it will be very interesting to see what the drivers will do with that, changing weather, I assume. Or it might just stay full wet or light rain for the entire race, of course, that's also a possibility. Which would be as interesting for strategy, but maybe for some driver mistakes, a bit of chaos. We'll see. Carlsberg now over the line, 108.390 into P12 on Haas driver, so he'll not be happy with that, I assume. I think he can do better than that for sure. Meanwhile, Jerome goes purple in the second sector. Let's see if the Ferrari driver can pull out of his head here, as he is on his way to the line now, coming around the final corner, turn 15 right here. It's gonna be a 107.683 for Ariel Giron, 9,000 per second behind SXT Daniel. Kian currently on a 111.7, so that would have been his earlier lap where he wasn't pushing. He's now completely out of ERS, so ERS a big issue in qualifying already. 107.591 from OP Kian. Jumps into P1 ahead of SXT Daniel by a pretty big margin actually. I mean, yeah, 80,000 per second doesn't sound like much, but honestly, with how close this tier has been this season, that is a bigger gap than what it sounds like. As FL Jerome is heading through the Cova do Sole here, just about starting his lap. He's not set lap time just yet. Also nice to see we've got a 19 car grid, so only one seat empty at the moment, which well, I could not go through every team and check if they have two drivers, but well, one team not having both drivers there. I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah, we'll just focus on Jerome's lap here, as he is heading through turn 9 here. This very long hairpin, I have to say. I mean, there's longer hairpins on the calendar, but definitely a longer one than what you're used to. Through turn 10 as well, the corner where Albon and Hamilton had their famous incident in 2019, costing Albon his first podium in Formula 1. As FL Brown heads around the final proper corner. From here to the end of the lap, it's flat out. Pretty much in all conditions, even in the full wet, you could probably take this flat, maybe just a little lift to be sure. As Jerome goes over the line, 107.879, P5 for the Alfa Romeo driver. Who else can we look at who's currently on the lap? There's a McLaren, it might be Lynx, who is, no it's not that, it might be G. Chalkerson. He's currently in P6, 107.9. Is he improving on his lap time? I'm not sure, I don't think he, yeah no he's not. 140 point something, 107.9, so there was a glitch on the top right. Now I have no idea if he improved. I think he did, but not in terms of position. I've got a, what's it, an Alpine or Williams? An Alpine. Always difficult to tell two apart. 108.132 from VIR Skyline. I've got both Red Bulls coming out the final corner there. El Piloto is the one behind. Nick Kenshin 109.0 up ahead. Let's see if he can jump up the field. Nick Kenshin stays where he is. What about El Piloto? 107.961. Moves into P11. Of course, he finished P3 last week with a very good result for him. Would have been very happy about that, and we'll be looking to get back to the podium once again this weekend. Who else is currently on an outlap? I'm seeing one of the Haas drivers just up ahead. That would be Carlsby on an outlap, so we won't be looking at him. Both Alfa Romeos coming around the final corner. Maybe Terra Racer is about to finish his first lap. There we go. Yes, he is going on the line now. Almost no ERS left in his car. 109.396, 3 tenths slower than anyone else, and Nick Kenshin as well, 7 tenths slower than Mike. So Terra Racer and Nick Kenshin currently quite some way off the pace. I assume they've made some mistakes on their laps. They are usually very much on the pace. Definitely not this far off. Let's go on board with Jarno right here. Currently P8, 107.9. He's down by 2.5 seconds though, so we won't be looking at Daniel now jumps into P1. 107.5. 7.7 compared to 107.591 by OP Kian. As G. Chalkers is now starting, no, he's about halfway through the second sector here. Yeah, the first sector ends quite early, so sector 2 is a very long one on this track, compared to both sector 1 and 3. Let's see, G. Chalkers now. What is his split time going to be? 6 tenths down actually, so, well, we're moving to another driver already. Nico currently 19,000 per second down after sector 1, after sector 2. He's 2 tenths up. So Nico looking at, well, 2 tenths up. That would put him all the way from P10 to P4, I believe. Big improvement from Nico here, both lap time wise and even more so position wise. As the Alpine driver is now heading over the line. It's gonna be a 107.760, just about less than 2 tenths. Jumps into P4. 8 thousandths ahead of TF Lynx. Ariel Jerome is currently in reverse gear, so he's spun going through this Lago right here. Gonna have to be careful now not to block anyone coming up behind him. Of course, in the special Ferrari livery that was added into the game today with the new yellow rear wing Ferrari font and the yellow engine cover, which is nice to see that Codemasters have added this so quickly. Just about less than a week. I believe last time we had a special livery in the game, it took a lot longer to add. As Kian now heads into the pit lane. We've got Michelle on hot lap right now in P6, 107.795. Nope, down by 1.5 seconds, not pushing. Let's try Elliot, who's just going through the CNS right here. Using 5th gear for a bit more traction on the exit to the second corner of the CNS. Opens up that DRS. Let's see if he's finding time in the first sector. Yes, he is. Almost 2 tenths gained by Elliot in the first sector alone. 107.936 right now, so he's also looking at a possible P4 here if he keeps this up. Would jump ahead of Nico if he doesn't even gain any more time. Braking boards turn 4 are gone. Really? That would be the Ciudad del Lago. Let me have a look. I believe one of the Mercedes is coming up to... Yeah, Mike? Oh, yeah, I'm seeing. On the right hand side there's only the 100 meter board left. The 150 and the 150 and 50 meter boards have been destroyed, but they are still down on the left hand side at least, so drivers can use that, of course. It is still an adjustment to look to the inside compared to the outside. I do tend to prefer looking to the outside as well, since I think it's just easier. But yeah, at least some braking boards still there. Elliot jumps into P1 here, 107.575, 2,000 per second ahead of Daniel. Very close to the top right now, between Daniel, Elliot and Kian. But Daniel currently on his out lap, just going through turn 6 here. So he'll be wanting to answer and potentially jump back onto pole position. 6 minutes to go in the session, so you won't be seeing many more laps. Maybe 1 or 2 more from each driver. I don't know, yeah, 3 is, 2 at most if they're already on track. If they aren't on track, probably only just 1. As Lynx, bit of a slide coming through turn 4 right there. But let's see if Lynx can improve on his current lap time. 107.768 in P7 for the McLaren driver. He'll be hoping to move slightly up the field again. I mean, it's very, very close margins. If he gains less, just half a tenth would put him ahead of both Alpines, Skyline and Nico. But let's see if Lynx is able to put in a lap time like that. He's just about to end the second sector, lifting through turn 11 there, and he's 1.5 seconds still. Okay, so that's why he's lifting. He's abandoned the lap time. Jerome, currently P9, 107.879, and he's pitting. Okay. Well, we'll just go on board with Daniel then, who has just started his lap. 5 minutes to go in this session, so potentially 1 more lap after this for him. Kian as well, just about across the line, and does not improve. What about Daniel? He's up by 1/10 in the first sector, but will he keep this momentum through the second sector as well? Daniel, driving from Mercedes, 2,000 of a second, so pretty much any improvement would guarantee provisional pole position for the German. As he heads to the second sector. Yes, 1.5 tenths up. That will certainly be enough for pole position if he keeps this going, and now from now, it's just flat out to the end, so surely Daniel is on his way to provisional pole position, but of course, still 4 minutes to go in the session. Both Elliot, Kian, Jerome, and whoever else is still driving can counter. 107.481 from Daniel. I mean, the gap has just increased from 2 tenths of a second to 93 thousandths of a second. Sorry, 2,000 of a second to 93,000 of a second. Kian's lap is invalid right now, so he won't be improving on this lap. The Chalkers now is currently pushing, I believe. Nope, I see the red light flashing, so I think he's conserving ERS. Definitely not pushing. What about Mike? Also a red light on his car, so is anybody pushing right now? Nick Kenshin perhaps, he's just coming up to the line. Yep, no red light, so he is... Well, he's boxing. Terror Racer, what about him? He's 8 tenths down in the first sector, so right now we've got nobody pushing, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, 2.5 seconds. So now we're just waiting. The driver should be coming out of the pits for the final runs soon, as Kian is actually up by half a tenth. So Kian is going again, even though his tires are a bit older. He's low on ERS, so Kian is well, he's trying it, and now is he just turned off the ERS perhaps? Saving ERS in the middle of the lap to make sure he has enough left at the end. And he's invalid in the lap time, so Kian will not be improving on this one. The first one who will start the last lap in the session is Nico. He's just left the pit lane. Behind him is his teammate Skyline, and one of the AlphaTauri's that would have been Leon. But now everyone is coming off the pits. So we'll be waiting for Elliot, for Daniel, for Jerome, for those top drivers. I am seeing one of the McLarens leaving now. That might be Lynx or G-Charkers, one of those two. Must Red Bulls now, Nick Kentron or El Piloto. So yeah, most people are now leaving the pit lane. We've got the two Alpines actually very close to each other, so I'm not sure if they're trying to give each other slipstream. But that could be very dangerous, especially if you're both in hot lap at the same time. But no, they're not. Skyline is now leaving a big gap to Nico, just to make sure. As Nico is starting his lap now, using ERS of course, to get that perfect start to the lap, opening up DRS and flying up towards the line 2 minutes ago in the session. Got the top runners leaving the pits as well now. Nico currently in P7, 107.760. Can the Alpine driver jump up the field? He only needs about, well, less than half a tenth to jump into P6 to beat his teammate. And about a tenth to beat Michel and Jerome, who actually has at the exact same lap time, 107.683. Separating, so nothing separating P4 and P5 right now. Daniel is still in the pit, so I think Daniel will not be doing another lap in the session. Same for Kian. Interesting to see. I mean, at this point it's about 1.5 minutes to go, so yeah, even if they go out now, it will be very, very close. As Daniel is now leaving the pit, so maybe Daniel will put in one more lap, but I think Kian, it's too late for him. We've got Elliot starting a lap, Jerome is on his lap now, so all the top drivers are now underway. Meanwhile, Nico, I haven't really been paying attention to his lap, just been looking at the top left, 2.5 tenths up, no, not 2.5, just 2 tenths up, which would actually put him towards the front even, so maybe Nico will be able to put himself onto the front row here, driving for Alpine. Over the line, what would it be for TRD Nico? 107.475! Pole position from Nico, 6,000 a second to Daniel. But what about the rest of the top drivers? Jerome currently on a lap by in P5, Elliot in P3 on a lap, Daniel just about to start his lap, I believe, as well. Will he make it over the line? How much time does he have left? We're just seeing the yellow flags, which is slightly annoying, but I think he's gonna make it. And yes, he has made it. Daniel's starting a lap now as well. Okay, he had 40 seconds left, so easily made it. Kian is also on his way to starting his lap now, so even he still made it. It's Coolman just down up to P5, 107.662. What about Jerome? 107.683 is currently best lap time. How much is he up by from the second sector? 1.5 tenths. This could maybe be enough for Jerome if he finds a bit more time through the last sector here. Will he put his Ferrari in pole position? What about the rest of the field? Jerome flying up to the line. Next one behind him out of the top group will be Elliot, I think. 107.548 for Jerome. Elliot, 107.412. Pole position for Elliot. Who is the next one? Daniel isn't validated. Daniel will not be improving. What about Kian? Kian, 4,000 per second after the first sector. Okay, right now the Ferrari's... Kian isn't validated. The Ferrari's down in P4 and 5 right now. And of course, another one is still pushing, I believe. Michel might be pushing here. I'm not entirely sure. Skyline isn't, Zem isn't, Jano, I don't think he is either. No, actually, no, he's invalidated lap time. Michel up by 27,000 per second through sector 1. Is he improving through sector 2? No, he isn't. 8.8 seconds behind, so he's definitely not pushing. What about FL? Is Jerome? Is that... Okay, that's him parked up on the right-hand side there. G-Charkers invalidated lap time. El Piloto up by 82,000 per second. Currently in P14, tied with BNLAE Mike. 107.961 for both of them. But I think at this point, the top 5 are pretty much set in stone. I don't think anybody's gonna be beating those guys. 2.5 tenths up by El Piloto, which is, well, that could actually majorly jump him up the field. We're looking at a 107 flat here, around that rate, which would put him P7 maybe? Let's see, is it gonna go over the line? El Piloto driving for Red Bull. What's it gonna be? 108.063, so he lost loads of time through the last sector, and I think that is it. Yes, that's it. Qualifying is over, and RAC Elliott has taken pole position here in Brazil ahead of TRD Nico and SXT Daniel. The two Ferraris who have been dominating the season up until now in P4 and 5, so they'll be slightly disappointed. But of course, the two championship rivals very close together. So, well, at least the positive for them is that they are both not quite entirely at the front. I mean, they're still in P4 and 5. This is definitely not a bad result, even for their standards. It's Koolman in P6, Michel in P7, Skyline in P8, Zem in P9, and Jano completes the P10, the top 10, with Lynx in P11, F1 Sharon in P12, G Charkers in P13, Mike in P14, El Pinota in P15, Carl Spain in P16, Nick Kenshin in P17, Leon in P18, and then a big gap to Terracer, who's 8 tenths behind Leon in P19. So yeah, just about 6 tenths covering the top 17, and only about 3.5 tenths covering the top 10, so it's very, very close. We honestly might be seeing the entire field in one DRS train for the entire race today. Well, maybe not for the entire race, but pretty much, yeah, most of the field will likely be running in the same DRS train today. So, that could be very, very interesting. I believe the formation lab is still turned off, as the glitches have still not been fixed by Codemasters. So, we'll be jumping straight into the race, just after the drivers have figured out what strategy they're gonna go to. So, yeah, I'll just be getting ready for that. Just gonna have a quick drink, and then I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm all ready for the race start. I hope the drivers are as well. Yeah, just finalizing their strategies, of course. The rain that has been called by the drivers, that has been told by the drivers would be happening, is not here right now. But the sky is quite dark, so maybe we will be seeing some rain later in the race. If I'm seeing drivers on softs, that would mean there will likely be rain very early on. So, yeah, we'll see. Of course, as I said, expected strategy, 16 laps on mediums, 20 laps on hards. Normally, you'll be seeing drivers starting on hards, going to mediums later. That would be the default strategy, so starting on hards and then going to mediums. Let's see if drivers do that. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of hards, so maybe the rain isn't coming early on at least. But it's lights out in just about a second. We've got one of the Ferraris going very early. Kian is going to drive through penalty. As Elliott gets away not too well, Nico takes the lead in turn 1. We've got It's Kuma with an amazing start up into P3 already. Elliott with a terrible start down to P7, but Nico takes the effective of the race. Daniel into P3. We've got contact maybe between Coolman and Jerome. I think that was, as Michel and Jerome heading side by side. There's a crash in the background. The car off. We've got front wings flying. What has happened there? I don't know. Crazy start here in Brazil, but Nico is taking the lead from Elliott, who's down to P7. Terrible start for the Haas driver. Daniel up into P3 as well. 5-second penalty for El Pilota, who's cut a corner apparently and gained places that way. Yeah, of course, Kian up 4 places, but he will have to serve that drive-through penalty, which is a big hit for his championship ambitions. Big chance for the drone now to make up that 11-point gap that he's got. So surely Kian will be very, very angry with himself right now. I mean, it's a rookie mistake really to jump especially by that much. It wasn't even close. He jumped the start by, he's 4 seconds ahead, so he jumped by ages basically. And now yeah, he's serving the drive-through penalty in the first lap already. Jerome, all the way in the back of Daniel, and Jerome now just has to play it safe, make sure he gets a good result. He doesn't have to push for the win, of course. The win would be perfect, but he's not gonna have to force it. He doesn't need to gain all the points possible. We've got an AlphaTauri spinning him out in the background. That's Leon, who is spun through the curb as well, but he is rejoined the track now, so he's at most got some wing damage. Will be staying on the front here. The top 5 very, very close together. Elliott as well, chasing them down from behind. We've got, as I expected, one train from P1 to P10. Then the field kind of starts to separate, as Ichiron and G-Shark are going side by side through turn 6 and 7 here. Very, very close between the two of them, but Jerome gets out ahead, still inside the 1 second range of Jano. We've got a Red Bull spinning in the background. El Piloto has spun heading through turn 9 here. Michel is all over the back of Jano, of Jerome. Oh, contact made between Coolman and Michel. More contact made. Wing damage for, I believe, the Aston Martin. Elliott getting involved as well. And that is, well, now separated the field into two again. It's Coolman 3 seconds behind. And he's going to be boxing for a new front wing. Solid of Michel. We've got Elliott, Jano, and Ichiron and G-Truck as well. 4 wide in turn 1 basically, or 3 wide now. Who's going to come out ahead here? G-Truck is on the inside. Does not come out ahead. We've got Jerome in P5, G-Truckers in P7, Elliott down to P7, Michel retiring from the race. Zem is out as well. Both Williams drivers out of the race early on. Still crazy fighting here from P5 to P9, but they have now settled down for just a second. Jerome takes P5, stays in DRS when Giuliano up ahead, but now the top 3 have gotten away. Nico, Jerome and Daniel. So those 3 will now be, well, unless it's a safety car, I would assume those 3 will be staying in this position as Elliott and G-Truck as a side-by-side through the infield section right here. Elliott on the inside, gets ahead. Well, on his way to recovering from his terrible start. He is gonna be trying everything to get through these guys, because he definitely has the pace. I mean, he had pole position. So he'll be hoping to get back to the front of this pack, and maybe if a safety car comes out, he can still get involved in the fight for the race win even. Nick Kenshin all over the back of Mike right here. Let's see, and he's gonna fly past him, is he? Yes, he is. We're seeing it from the POV of Lynx from behind. Yellow flags up ahead, which is for, I don't even know. El Piloto, who retired in the pits, and his AI is now driving through the pit exit. There we go. He's gonna open up the tire graphic right here, so you can see what tires everybody's choosing. Jerome not passing for the nitro state, but Lynx is going up the inside of Mike for P9. The McLaren driver into the Cedar and Lago on the inside. Squeezes Mike out wide and gets past him. Meanwhile, Skyline and Coolman fighting over P13. Skyline goes deep through the center S, but he gets ahead for now. But maybe it's Coolman with the better exit now through Cover the Sol. He's gonna try it around the outside. No, he's not. He's gonna wait for the straight. DRS open now for the Aston Martin driver. Is he gonna come back at the Alpine driver? No, he is not. Let's head back to the front. SXT Daniel, very, very close to the 2 cars in front of him, of course. No DRS run for him or Jerome. Jerome and Nico both burning DRS. Jerome wants this race lead. Is he gonna try it on this lap? Is he gonna wait for longer? Let's see. He's going to use the slipstream. Is he gonna send one up the inside into the center S? He's having a look, but he's deciding against it. Potentially through the Retta Oposta, which I definitely just butchered that pronunciation again. So yeah, I'll keep apologizing for it, but I cannot pronounce these names. I'm just not good at it. I've tried, I've practiced, but yeah. If you're Portuguese or Brazilian, I apologize. I'm trying my best, I swear. So yeah, Jerome still about 3/10 behind Nico. Wasn't able to pass him on that back straight, or on the second long straight of this track. Also in the midfield, everybody very, very close together still, but right now the drivers are just waiting for the right opportunities, looking for those gaps, those mistakes maybe, where they can get closer, use the DRS to fly past the car up ahead, which is usually the tactic most drivers will avoid battling into corners, as that's where you lose time. Jano is actually catching the top 3 right now. The gap was 3 seconds, down to 2 seconds now, so he's really using those mediums that he's put on. He's also got a 1 second gap to Jerome behind. Let's see now, the top 3 are once again flying over the main straight here. DRS open for both Jerome and Daniel, of course, but I think Jerome is just a bit too far behind Nico, unless he wants to burn all of his DRS. And he's not going to send it right here, but he gets very close under braking. Yellow flags for, I believe that's Terror Racer, who spun in the infield. Jerome is going to be using the DRS once again now, but I think he is again just slightly too far behind. He's going to wait for a better opportunity to pass the Alpine driver. I think he is happy to wait until maybe the pit stops. Try and over or undercut against Nico. No need to take the risk of passing him, as Kian, of course, championship rival after that drive-through, is down the pack. Currently in P11, trying to recover. He's trying to go around the outside of Mike here. Is this gonna work? What a move by Kian if it does pull off, and he's now around the outside again for the next corner. Still on the outside, will turn to the inside now. Is Kian gonna pull this off? And yes, I think he is on the exit now. Just about, yeah, squeezes Mike wide slightly, and Kian gets past him. Beautiful battle. Carlsby takes the opportunity as well, sends one up the inside into turn 10 and gets past as well. Great opportunistic driving from Carlsby. Very good passing maneuver from OP Kian. You love to see stuff like this, but Kian is, you can see him sliding, you can see him burning the ES. He is trying everything he can to get back to the field, to consolidate as many points. Yeah, damage control pretty much. He's back in the points already, so I mean that didn't take too long. But of course, he would have been all the way at the front, I believe. We definitely would have been fighting those top 3 right now if he hadn't gotten that drive-through penalty. At least I would assume so, based on his pace that he's showing right now and in qualifying as well as over the entire season. I mean, Kian has been, I would say Kian has been the fastest driver, and Jerome has been, yeah, able to match him through consistency, through avoiding penalties in the race. So it's been a very interesting dynamic between those two. Of course, they're both very, very fast drivers. I'm not saying Jerome is slow. I'm saying Kian is maybe slightly faster. Jerome is slightly better in the long run in the races. So it's a very interesting dynamic to see those two different skill sets at work. Skyline, the first one to get a track limit penalty in this race, 3-second time penalty for the Alpine driver, but he's currently down in P13, 20 seconds behind the next car. So he will be, well, it doesn't really matter too much for him right now at least. But now, Jerome is burning all of his ERS pretty much. Is he gonna send one on the inside of Nico? Yes, he is on the inside into center S. And Jerome takes the lead of the race ahead of Nico now. As Elliott is passing Jerome for P5 as well on his recovery. On his way to recovery after that terrible start where he went down from P1 to P7. We've got Nico behind Jerome, not able to fight back against Modiano. Almost in DRS range for these guys now, 1.2 seconds. He's gonna try and get involved here, I think. Kian gets past the next driver. Kian flies past Lynx here on his way to recovery. I mean, he is doing very, very well right now. But 0% ES, that's gonna make it so difficult to pass people, I would assume. He's gonna have to send it on the brakes. He's gonna have to try through the corners. He can't just burn the ES to overtake them on the straights, as he's already burned all of his ES. Apologies. We've got Daniel very close to Nico here, 3/10 separating them, and of course Nico having the DRS from Jerome up ahead, who's actually building a gap. He's almost pulled outside that 1 second range, which is crucial for DRS. I think once Jerome gets that 1 second gap, it's gonna be difficult for Nico to get back at him. So he has to stay inside this 1 second window, which could be difficult if Daniel attacks him. But nope, Daniel stays behind for now. Playing it smart maybe, aiming for the win. As Jano is now made, yes, Jano has made it. He's inside 1 second, he's got the DRS in the cars ahead, but he's so low in ERS here. So he's burnt everything to get into this leading group. But he's pulled it off, so now he's gonna try and get pulled away maybe from the rest of the field. Of course, with him being on the harder tire later on, even if he manages to pass them now, they're gonna pass him right back later on. I think the best strategy for him is to use these guys to pull away from the guys behind him, so that when he's on the hard tire, he will have a big enough gap to stay in P4. I think that is the best thing for Jano to do right now. Of course, if an opportunity presents itself, he will be going for it. I would assume he is, after all, still here to race. As Daniel is now having a look around the outside through turn 11. That would have been very ambitious, so he decides against it. But he is all over Nico, who is just about still inside that 1 second gap of Jerome. But if Daniel tries to overtake him here, he has to overtake him now. He's gonna drop out of the S to Jerome otherwise. Daniel has to get past if he wants to win this race. And Daniel is using the ERS, he's gonna go up the inside, into turn 1, into the center S. Nico on the outside, concedes. And then Nico, yeah, hands the position to Daniel pretty much, doesn't defend all too much into turn 2. But now Daniel has to push for all his life to stay inside that 1 second range to Ariel Jerome. This is crucial in the fight for the race. If Daniel doesn't stay in DRS bench here, and then also doesn't manage to catch back up to Jerome afterwards, Jerome is gonna keep running away with this race. That DRS will be crucial for Daniel, especially if he doesn't have it. Nico will probably come back at him as well, as he won't have the same straight line speed as the Alpine driver behind him. So, will Daniel be able to get back inside the 1 second range? So close right now, just about above 1 second, as OP Kian is fighting Nick Kenshin side by side around the outside by Kian through turn 9. Amazing move by the Ferrari driver. He is, yeah, he's been outstanding now after serving that drive-through penalty. I have to admit, I haven't really been noticing it all too much, but he's, I mean, I've seen a couple of the overtakes, but he's already up to P7, so he's doing a great job. Daniel, he has dropped outside of the 1 second range to Jerome, who has burned literally all of his ERS, 0% ERS on the Ferrari, but well, if Nico is now gonna start battling Daniel, they're gonna lose more time. That'd be perfect for Ariel Giron. Exactly what he needs. Let's see if he gets exactly what he needs. Is Nico gonna try to attack the Mercedes driver? No, he's not. Nico stays behind for now. But still, the gap is increasing to 1.6 seconds. Giron is doing an awesome job here to pull away from the guys behind him. Further down the midfield, we've got the two McLarens fighting over P9 and 10. Strikers on the mediums here should be faster in theory right now. I would think after 10 laps the mediums are still the faster tire. I don't think they would have dropped off too much right now. Of course, Nick Kenshin, he's just been passed by Kian, who's gonna start chasing down It's Giron. Well, Kian, honestly, could still end up in P4 in this race. Just through his own pace alone. And anything more than that would be absolutely amazing if he manages anything more than that. Nick Kenshin is spun around! Heading through turn 11. He's gonna rejoin the track in P12 behind Mike, about 3 or 4 seconds behind him as well. Losing lots of time there. Siano was very close to Nico here in the braking zone. Putting pressure on the Alpine driver, using those mediums to his advantage. 1.6 seconds to get to Elliott behind, so well, I said the Siano should be pulling away from these guys now using the DRS of the leaders, but that doesn't really seem to be working all too well for the AlphaTauri driver right now. Yeah, we've also got Giron about 5 tenths behind Elliott here, battling for P5. Elliott, of course, I mean, yeah, I think his recovery for now is, he's not gonna make up any more positions for now. Once Yano is pitting for Hardstone, that will be Elliott's opportunity to jump into P4. Potentially, even if he gets into the DRS range of these guys ahead, he can still recover to a P2, but I think at this point Giron is gonna be gone. As Carlsbury and G. Choikers are battling. Choikers pulls ahead for now, but Carlsbury could potentially come back at him through the main straight. Just 2 tenths separating them right now, so definitely a chance for Carlsbury, but look at the straight line speed on Choikers. When he's burning ERS, which explains why he's doing it. No DRS for Choikers, but he's gonna, yeah, get back into the DRS range of his teammate up ahead, who is also very low on ERS. We're seeing so many drivers low on ERS. I think, yeah, just a couple of guys you're seeing above 10% even. Everybody else is already derating, so lots of ERS being used here early on in the race. Of course, it's very important, especially in these DRS train races, to keep track position, to stay ahead of the guy behind you, because once they pass, it's very difficult to get back past them. So the ERS has to be used early on to solidify your positions, to make sure you are in the correct train, basically, to be in the furthest train that you can be, instead of being stuck behind in the train that is below your pace level, maybe. You've got Yano, still very close to Nico, who's just about hanging on to the DRS of Daniel here. Or is he? Or is he? I think he was just outside it. Yes, he was. No DRS for Nico. So this could be Yano's chance to make his move. But Nico is getting back into DRS now. So he's gonna have DRS on the Retter Poster once again. Stays close enough to Daniel now through the main straight. OP Kieran, well, he's already brought the gap down to just about above 1 second. It was about 2 seconds earlier. So Kian, well, is looking at a potential P5 soon, once he gets into this train of Giron and Elliott. If he gets past both those guys, it will indeed be P5. And then it's even not far to the podium. I mean, Yano is only about a second, second and a half away from Elliott. So Kian, his recovery has been, I mean, especially with how quick he's been making it, it's been amazing. Serving the drive-through penalty, which cost him about, what, 15 seconds? And he's already made up almost all of it. Of course, the big gap that he had, I think he had about a 5-second gap, so... Well, if you're gonna jump the start, you're gonna drive the penalty anyway, so you might as well jump it early, I guess. As early as possible, which I think is what Kian did even. He jumped at the earliest possible point, jumped the start. So, yeah, gained as much as possible from it. Of course, the penalty for jumping the start is always a drive-through penalty. Doesn't matter if you jump it by a millisecond or by 10 seconds. But the game does limit when you can even release the clutch. So I think that you can only release the clutch once the 5th light is on. So, yeah, just to make sure you can't just release the clutch on the first light and get like a 30-second lead, because in that case the driving penalty of course would be costing you less time than you gain through jumping the start. So Kian is almost in DRS when the guys ahead. I think by the end of this lap he will be, but still he's so low in ERS. He's burning everything he has to get into DRS range, and then he's somehow pulling these moves off still. Carlsby and Schalke is now battling as Carlsby gets past the McLaren driver, but outside of DRS range the McLaren had, so good chance for Schalke to get back past him. Of course we are coming up to the first pit stop phase, I believe. Lap 15 out of 36. Around now is when I would expect the medium runners to start boxing, potentially on the next lap or even the lap after that. As we've got Jarno and Elliott battling. Elliott gets past him, so Jarno's tires have been dropping off, which I have been noticing. He's dropped off the back of those that leading group, which isn't much of a group anymore. The top three are separated. And yeah, Elliott takes P4 away from Jarno now. Nick Kenshin is the first one to box. Red Bull driver now in the pit lane. I assume it's a planned pit stop, it makes sense timing-wise. Kian is now in this train, which goes all the way from P4 to P7. Nick Kenshin also just about outside DRS went to Nico. So maybe even a train all the way from P3 to P7. So Kian, I mean, he has a very good chance at still getting a podium in this race, which, I mean, that would just be something special. But even then, that's still a, what, a 6 point, yeah, 6 points would be what Jerome gains on Kian. If Kian finishes P3, just about catches the car there, going through turn 11, very close to spinning around. So Kian getting just, well, I wouldn't say lucky, but definitely just about getting away with that one. He was very close to having lost the car through that corner. But now you can see the issue having this low ERS. He is just not able to get close enough through the straights. Of course, Jerome, he has about 40%, so if he wants to defend, he can. As Carlsby and Schalke are still battling side by side from the center S now. Is he gonna try it? Oh, off the track by Carlsby, and Schalke pulls ahead for now. But is Carlsby gonna come back at him through the right tail post, heading into the Ciudad Lago? Is he gonna make it up the inside? Nope, he's staying behind still. How about Kian? He is so close to it, Jerome here. He's gonna try it through the infield. Oh, he's having a look at the inside! That would have been so ambitious, but yeah, Kian not able to pull alongside for the turn-in point. We've got rain! Rain is coming down now, as you can see on the chassis of OP Kian right here. This is what the drivers were telling me about the rain. Well, I was told the rain would be at the start, but now it's coming about 17 laps into the race. And this is... oh no! Nick Kenshin just boxed the last lap, so... did he not ask for weather report? Did he not know the rain was coming now? Very interesting to see that he would box just one lap before the rain starts coming down. Yeah, his range engineer would have definitely told him about it, at least if he asked him for a weather report, which if you know rain is coming, you should definitely be asking for weather reports before you box. Potentially Nick Kenshin had wing damage, would explain why he boxed anyway. As Carlsby and Schalke once again side by side through the center S and through the Cover de Sol. As Jerome gets past Jarno now, so Jarno's tires have really dropping off now. Schalke passes Carlsby for P9, but Carlsby back up the inside. Side by side still, of course in the rain now, even more difficult. Still side by side, the Haas driver now on the inside, which will turn to the outside for turn 6. Who's gonna come out ahead here? Still side by side, but the McLaren driver now on the inside, which is gonna be inside for the next corner as well. Surely he has the advantage, and yes he does, but Carlsby with the switchback. Carlsby gets back past him. But still on the inside, Schalke is alongside, but Carlsby hangs on around the outside. Awesome battling between those two. I mean, they are having so much fun, but they've lost 5 seconds even to Lynx up ahead. Kian now, all over the back of Jarno. Jarno's tires, I mean, they are completely gone now, I think. And Jarno is boxing. Jarno is boxing. He's the first one to blink in this this field right here, in this little train. Which tire will Jarno be going on to? I assume intermediates, but it's very early for Inters. There's barely any rain right now. No hard tires, what? He's boxing for hards just as the rain is starting to come down. What is going on in the strategies on these medium runners right now? Is this just gonna be a short rain period then? Just like a couple of minutes and then the rain goes away again? As Carlsby goes past Truckers again, those two are swapping positions every single lap, providing great entertainment for us right now. You'd love to see it. But the rain, I think it's starting to get a bit heavier now. But just a bit, definitely nowhere near intermediate conditions still. Can still see the sunshine coming through. I don't think we'll be seeing anyone boxing for Inters just yet. But I'm very, very confused that Jano and especially Jano. I mean, the rain was already coming down. It's not even the case of having forgotten to ask the race engineer for the weather report. And now the rain is getting heavier. You can see more raindrops on the chassis of Truckers here. It's definitely gonna be getting to intermediate conditions soon, I think. As we have Lynx in the pits. Lynx is now boxing, as well as Truckers. Lynx and Truckers both in the pits. Both McLarens at the same time. Double stack. But he's going to mediums as well. So, surely, at this point, we've got 4 drivers now. Because you can also see 3 Truckers boxing for hards. Yep, I think everybody's boxing for fresh tire tires, so this rain, surely, the drivers are being told by the engineers that this rain will only stay for a couple of laps. Otherwise, this decision makes 0 sense, especially for this many drivers to do it. Truckers is gonna come out behind the catching yellow flags for an AlphaTauri. Who is that? That would be Leon, who's now a lap down as well. Drops down to P16. We've got Elliot very close to Nico here. So yeah, Elliot, having started on pole, is now close to getting back on the podium. The rain is getting slightly heavier once again. 21 laps into this race. Still, most of the hard runners haven't been. Kian now into the pits. Doesn't speed this time around. Let's see what tires he's gonna go into. Is he also going to dries? I would assume so. It's not wet enough for Inters right now. Yep, dry tires on Kian's car. So yeah, I think at this point Mike as well, I think, will be going to dries. The rain will not be heavy enough for Inters, at least that's what I'm thinking right now. With how many drivers they are boxing for with dry tires, there's no way they're all making the same mistake. So yeah, it's not a mistake. It's on purpose. It's the correct decision, I would assume. Kian comes out of Jano. P7 on track right now, but it's gonna jump up a couple places once the rest of the field boxes up ahead of him. But we've got Nico, Elliot and Ichiro now fighting for P3. But meanwhile Kian, he's gonna be putting off an undercutter potentially. Could jump all the way into P3 even, if he gets a really good outlap. But those cold tires will make that difficult. We'll see. Jerome is now in the pits. Let's see if anybody else pits. Is Daniel still staying out? Oh, we've got Jerome, who's definitely just cut the pit line, the pit entry line, separating the pit entry from the track. Mediums for Jerome. Gonna be mediums for both these guys as well. Yeah, the rain I think is already getting less severe. So yeah, I think it's quite clear at this point that we'll be staying on the dries. Jerome comes out behind Nico. It's Jerome comes behind Nico. Ariel Jerome, of course, ahead. Let's see about what Kian is doing right now. He's just going through the center edge, just coming to cover the soul now as well. Comes out and it's Jerome, and there should be Nico, who was in P3 earlier. So Kian, I think this will be an effective P2. He should be ahead of Elliot, who is now staying out for another lap. And once Kian, or if Kian manages to pass Nico as well, he would come all the way back to the podium finish. And of course Nico on those cold tires now. Yeah, very much in danger of being passed by Kian, and there we go. Kian immediately up the inside, doesn't wait any longer than needed. Immediately goes past Nico as well, of course. Cold tires with this slight rain, of course, even worse. Daniel in the pits now. Elliot is still staying out. 23 laps on those hards now, so could be looking at going to softs. I'm not entirely sure. Nico is already dropped almost a second behind Kian, but he's just about inside of that 1 second range. Kept DNS for now. Where is Daniel gonna come out? Fast left the race from Kian, 1:10.086 in this rain even. I mean, fastest lap of the race in the rain. That is very, very impressive. Let's see how far ahead of Kian is Daniel. About 1.5 seconds separating the Ferrari and Mercedes Robots. He will now have the cold tires. Could Kian get into DRS range to Daniel? I mean, that would put him into P2 even. If he manages to pass Daniel, as Elliott still has not boxed. So, Kian, currently in an effective P3, might be looking at P2 later on. Carlsby has just been passed by Mike, who of course now is on those mediums. Yeah, Carlsby and Jarkas have also finally been separated from each other. Which will take a long time. Kian, just about gonna be inside the 1 second range to Daniel. So Kian could even recover to a P2, which is just outstanding. I mean, no safety car, just pure pace, making up that drive-through penalty. Jerome now responds for the new fast lap 109.8, beats Kian's time. Yeah, Kian proving why he is a championship leader. He has made that mistake on the race start, gotten that drive-through penalty, but he has recovered so strongly. Yeah, already back on the podium. Once Elliott boxes, he will be on the podium. And on his way, potentially to a P2 as well, if he does get past Daniel, which I think is looking likely, as he is definitely the faster driver right now. As Schalkers gets past Nick Kenshin for P12. But we'll be staying with Kian right here, as he is just about half a second behind Daniel. Of course, Daniel, much more ES right now, 50% for the Mercedes driver, 15% for Kian. But of course, Kian with a DRS advantage. This could be an interesting dynamic to see if Daniel tries to defend from him, if he saves his ERS, if he's going to try and get back at him later on. This could be a battle to the end of the race here. Elliott still hasn't boxed, and Jerome is only 9 seconds behind him. I think at this point Elliott, he's either hoping that the rain gets heavier and he can box for intermediates, which would be a masterclass, which would certainly give him the race win. If people have to box for intermediates now, he's gonna certainly win. Or he's gonna go to softs, which, especially in these slightly rainy conditions, softs are a very strong choice. As I do believe that this rain increases the tire delta between the 3 tire compounds. So I think it's a good idea from Elliott to stay out long, but he's definitely losing a lot of time right now. I mean, the gap between him and Jerome is down to 8 seconds, and he wasn't far behind him. No, he wasn't that far behind him early on. I mean, let's see. Yeah, if we go to the leader, he's probably gonna end up behind Yano even. So he's gonna be in like P9 or yeah, P8 if he boxes now. But well, he still hasn't boxed. He's still staying out. And the sun is coming through again. Surely Elliott will be going to softs here and trying to come, well, trying to what El Piloto did last week actually, or something similar. El Piloto stayed out long and then had fresher medium tires, sorry, and used those to fly through the field to get a podium finish. But Elliott might be trying the same here, either on much fresher mediums or even on softs. One of those two. Both would be a very interesting dynamic, especially with this rain coming down, making it even more interesting. But still, the rain doesn't really seem to be picking up. We've been on this kind of rain for 6 laps now, and just not getting the intermediate conditions. We still have 10 laps to go. So, yeah, 10 more laps in this race. Still plenty of opportunity for the rain to come down harder. Yes, Leon, I am from Germany. As you can probably tell by my accent. We've got Daniel and Nico coming up to a lap car now. That would be Terror Racer, I believe, the Alfa Romeo driver. Elliott still staying out now. Yeah, still hasn't made a pit stop. Kian closing in on Daniel, even though Daniel has DRS well now. Is he gonna send up the inside? No, he's not. He doesn't manage to do it. I think if Daniel hadn't had the DRS from Terror Racer there, Kian would now be in P3. Oh, Kian almost loses it going from the corner cell, but he, once again, second time I've seen this in this race now by Kian. Great reactions from him to save the car like that. This definitely has kept him in the fight for the podium twice now. They've also put a 2-second gap to Nico, so they are safe behind Daniel and Kian. They are just deciding between the two of them who will finish in P2 and who will finish in P3. The gap from Elliott, the gap between Jerome and Elliott is also down to 5 seconds, third time now for Kian. He's made a save like that, as you could see him sliding all over the place, coming out of turn 9. So Kian maybe struggling with tire temperatures, but no, surely not in this rain, he's not gonna be overheating. Just struggling with the rain maybe, I think maybe the rain is impacting his traction. Elliott still went past the pit lane once again. What is he? He's not gonna box, is he? Is he just gonna wait and hope for a safety car or something? I mean, at this point, surely you have to box. Clearly the rain is not heavy enough for intermediates, and even if it is, Jerome might just catch him before the pit stop for intermediates comes around. I mean, if we have a look at the gap to the leader right now, he's actually kept it at 30 seconds to Coolman, who actually... Coolman? Has he done the same thing? Oh, let's try again. Yes, there we go. It's Coolman. Oh no, okay, he just boxed... Okay, he boxed very early. So he's also been on those tires for ages. 25 laps on those hards. Is he maybe trying to go to the end? Might just bring him into the points if he does. If he doesn't, he's surely not going to be in the points. So maybe worth a try for the Aston Martin driver. Kian has also recovered a bit of ERS, but Daniel on 70%, so Daniel very good chance at defending for the rest of this race now. 8 laps to go. Elliott still is not boxed. He's being stubborn. He's just refusing to make a pit stop. I mean, Haas must be screaming at him to come in at this point. Or his engineer must be screaming. Yellow flags in Sector 2, one of the Alpines is off, and that is Skyline, but he has managed to keep the car going. No major front wing damage, just a spin for the Alpine driver. Can also have a look at the penalties. 6 seconds for Nick Kenshin, 3 for Skyline as Kian makes another mistake, stopped outside of the 1 second range to Daniel. I think Kian, that he's struggling in this rain. He is pushing too hard, maybe. Yellow flags in Sector 2 again for Skyline. Second spin on 1 lap. Not good for Skyline. He's going to be close to getting lapped at this point. Meanwhile, Jerome spot the gap down to Elliott, down to 2 seconds. Oh, but is the rain? Oh, I think the rain is getting heavier. The rain is getting heavier. I'm not imagining this. The rain is getting heavier. Maybe Elliott is indeed putting off a masterclass here, and he's just staying out until the intermediate tires finally are faster than dries. Which, I mean, considering how much we are seeing drivers sliding, we've got Skyline spinning twice in 1 lap, so maybe the rain also visibly getting stronger. Maybe it is time for an intermediate pit stop soon. And that could put Elliott into the fight for a race win here, as Leon gets past Terracer for P15. But I didn't catch that on camera, sadly. We've also got Chalkers and Carlsbury. Those two, they were fighting earlier, weren't they? And Carlsbury then pulled ahead massively after the pit stops, but now Chalkers is back for more. Those two just cannot be separated. Jerome is now on the back of Elliott. And surely he's not gonna wait long to pass the Haas driver. He's gonna try it at the first opportunity. Doesn't want to be losing time behind him, of course. He has a 6 second gap to Daniel, so he does have some time. He doesn't need to get past immediately. He can afford to lose a bit of time, but obviously he's not gonna want to be losing that time. He wants to have a bigger buffer as possible. Yellow flags in Sector 2 for... Is it Jerome? No, it's Terracer, who is down in last, so well, doesn't matter all that much. 3 second time penalty for Carlsbury, who is down on P11, shouldn't be costing many points, at least if the race stays, and it is. But Jerome surely is now gonna pass Elliott for the race lead, and indeed, there he goes. Jerome takes the race lead from Elliott, who is now still, after 31 laps, not made a pit stop in this race. Or has he? Just gonna make... No, he hasn't, okay. He didn't make a pit stop 1 lap more or anything. Well, Daniel and Kian are gonna be passing him soon as well. Terracer has retired in the pit lane, so this will not be causing a safety car. The rain, I mean, the rain is just fluctuating a little bit, getting heavier, getting weaker. Just not getting to the points where intermediate tires are necessary. And I think that's what Elliott was banking on. At this point, he would have boxed for softs earlier, if that was what his plan was, but he's still just waiting for those intermediates. to come into now, but they just aren't. They just aren't, yeah, just isn't enough water, just isn't enough rain coming down for Elliot's strategy to pull, to work out. But now he's finally made the pit stop, he's accepted defeat, I think. Interesting to see what tire he goes on to now, if he's gonna be softs, or if he's gonna even, I mean, softs surely would be the safe strategy now. And indeed, that looks like soft compound tire for Elliot. Maybe a fastest lap possible for the Haas driver, he's gonna come out in P8, behind Jano. So the back end of the points, got Teresa parking up here, Sayai having driven out the pit lane for some reason. So yeah, Elliot, I mean, he is still somewhat close to Jano, he's got fresh softs, so maybe he can still come back into P7. But yeah, this strategy, it was a gamble, it didn't work out, it cost him a potential podium. DRS disabled! DRS has been disabled 1 lap after Elliot has finally made his pit stop. So the FIA seems to think that it's time for wets, or for Inter, sorry. Oh, come on! Elliot has gotten all this time, and now you're telling me the rain is getting heavy enough for DRS to be disabled, which usually is the, as Leon is man, which usually is the indicator that it's time for intermediates, but it doesn't look that wet. I don't think it's time for Inters. Oh Jesus! If the weather now gets worse and it is indeed time for intermediates, Elliot is going to be kicking himself to have done all of that work just for the rain to get heavy. Literally the lap after he boxes. Of course, DRS being off also is a disadvantage for Kian, as he will not have a DRS advantage over Daniel. He has to make the move without DRS, and this is even more difficult with Daniel having significantly more ERS than the Ferrari driver. I mean, I've been on board with Kian for like the last 13 laps pretty much. Just watching him, waiting for his opportunity, and it's just not coming around. So I think maybe Daniel will be able to hold on here. I thought Kian would fly past him, similar to how he's done for everyone else, but I have to give credit to Daniel. He has been holding on very, very well, keeping that P2, yeah, keeping it steady, not making any mistakes, not allowing Kian to get past. Elliot now getting past Jano, but I think with the rain having gotten heavier, it's going to be difficult for him to get the fastest lap as well. But still, I think he's still going to try, surely. There's no point in not even trying now, as we are just 3 laps from the end. 6 seconds from Elliot to Lynx, so I think P7 will be the maximum for him right now. Of course, also good to see no penalties inside the top 10. We've got a couple outside the top 10. 3 for Carlsberg, 6 for Nick Kentron, and 3 for Skyline. It's Cool Man, it's spun around! It's Cool Man, it's now dropped to P11. And Carlsberg gets promoted into the top 10. Who indeed doesn't have penalties, so scratched about no penalties in top 10. Skyline now with his second penalty of the race, yes. 6 seconds to Skyline. Yellow flags once again. Who is that? That's Leon, I think. Yep. But he wasn't even in the grass or anything. Didn't seem to have spun, so I'm not sure what those yellow flags were actually for. Kian, I mean, yeah, even with DRS, he wasn't able to pass Jerome early on. Oh, past Daniel, sorry. And now that DRS is off, it's gonna be practically impossible. I think Daniel will hold on. I mean, there's just 2 laps to go now, as they are about to cross the line. From now, it's 2 laps to go for Daniel. They, of course, passed the start-finish line a bit later than Jerome, who is 7 seconds up the road by now. But, I mean, still, I have to say, it's been an outstanding race by Kian, and I think, even with that drive-through penalty, which of course was completely self-inflicted, I have to give the Driver of the Day award, or give my personal Driver of the Day award to Kian. It's been an outstanding performance from him today. No safety cars, just pure pace, flying through the field, getting back into P3. Of course, still P2 could be possible if he finds a way to get past Daniel in the last 1.5 laps, but it's not looking likely. It's looking like a P3. But either way, Kian has put in an awesome performance today. Of course, we have to also mention Jerome, who has been in control of this race, quietly doing his thing at the front ever since he got out of DRS range to the second place driver, which I think at the time was Nico. early on, controlling the race ever since, and now starting the last lap, he's kept it quiet, he's kept it calm, made all the right choices, the right times, gotten the strategy right, didn't pit for intermediates maybe, which would have been maybe the temptation with that rain coming down, didn't make the same mistake that Elliott did of staying out long, waiting for the intermediate conditions to come around, which honestly I think that's what I would have done. I would have just continued the stint for as long as possible. But yeah, these drivers proving why they are in F6 and I am not, proving why they are racing at this high level, making the right choices. I mean, Elliott, of course, it's unfortunate for him to have made that strategy mistake, but he's still in a very decent P7. As Carlsberg is boxing on the last lap, what is he doing? He's just thrown away a point. Why has he done that then? Promotes Chalkers into P10. I have no idea why he did that. He would have gotten a P10, I think. Well, but Jerome, around the final proper corner, on his way to winning the race here in Brazil, gaining 6 points on Kian in the fight for the title, bringing the gap down to just 5 points here, and Jerome wins the race in Brazil, ahead of Daniel, who will end up in P2. Kian finishes in P3, Nico will be in P4, about 5 seconds behind them. Jerome in P10 as Carlsberg's actually gone to intermediate tires. Let's have a look at it. Is he gonna catch it? No, surely not. But he is actually faster than Nick Kenshin right now, so I think intermediate would have been the right choice all along, maybe. Interesting to see this now. He's gaining. The driver shouldn't have gone to Inters. How has nobody thought to try this earlier? But well, yeah, they've got Lynx in P6, Elliott in P7, Jano in P8, Mike in P9 right now, Chalkers just behind him, completing the top 10. And yeah, Carlsberg has gained 1.5 seconds on the cars ahead. So, maybe driver, especially Elliott should have maybe boxed for intermediate tires. But, well, always in hindsight, it's much easier to say what I should have done. And there we go, Carlsberg over the line, Nick Kenshin over the line. And that's race finish as Nick Kenshin loses the car over the line as well. Yeah, once again, it's been a very entertaining race. Of course, the fight for the win wasn't all that interesting today as Drone pretty much dominated in usual Ferrari fashion in this division. But yeah, the fight for P2 was, or the fight for the podium in general, was awesome to see. And there we have Jerome coming out in the special yellow Ferrari driver suit alongside his teammate there in P3. Both Ferraris once again in the podium, but Daniel able to separate them. Daniel able to get this very strong P2. Interesting to see that the mechanics are still using the red overalls, so oversight by Codemasters there, just the drivers are getting the yellow suit, which, well, it should have been everyone on the team. But yeah, what can I say? It's been an awesome race once again. Same as pretty much every week in this division. It's been a very good season. Jerome actually having the fast lap as well, so he's going to be gaining 7 points on his teammate Kian, bringing the gap down to 4 points in the driver standings. So we are looking at a very, very interesting title fight here in F6, which will hopefully go down to the last race. And I mean, we've only got a couple races left to go now. Saudi Arabia, United States in Austin, and then Silverstone as the season finale, which will be the decider in this title fight. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I think once again it's been a very good race. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I hope you weren't too annoyed about my corner name pronunciations. So yeah, see you next week for PSGL F6. I can also recommend now going over and watching the tiers that started at 8 PM BST. For example, the F1 tier has just started its qualifying session about 10 minutes ago, so you'll be jumping in right towards the end of qualifying if you head over there now, which I can definitely recommend. So yeah, I'll be ending the stream now, and goodbye.